segregation, why can't we have everything in public? Right? Two things. One is that is not my requirement, right? I have my laptop, I have my phone, I have my TV. Why would I want that to be in public network? It's my personal. I'm not hosting any website on that. I don't want anyone else to connect to that. No one is trying to access anything on that. So one thing is that. Second thing, the IP, the supply of IP. These are the limited number of IPs we have. And if we use one IP each, nowadays it is going to be insufficient. Now your cars, they will have IP. Your mobile phones, they have, obviously they always had IP. Then your fridge, your TV, your LED bulb, and your Alexa, your Google Mini. There are so many things which will have IP. Your washing machine sometimes, your vacuum cleaner, whatever your car nowadays, they will have IP. Whatever you can connect using an internet facility, it should have an IP. And if all of these are trying to use public IP, then we'll be out of public IP within a month, and then the system will be collapsed. Right? To prevent that, we are coming up with IPv6. People have started using that, but again, it's a long story. It is going to take a lot of time, right? IPv6 is a hexadecimal number, a huge number, and it's their calculation. It will be more in trillions, etc. This is the IP address. So even if they assign one IP to one person on this world, still we'll have many IPs, right? We will not be out of IPs ever. This is what they are planning with IPv6, but we are not talking about it now. IPv4 we have limited. That is the reason they have what they have done. They have done the segregation. So how does it work? See, public IP. If it is a website, I am running a website. I want you guys to access from anywhere, etc. YouTube.com. Now I can keep YouTube locally, right? It has to be on public because you want to access that. You want to watch video. You want to upload video. YouTube.com. It will have public IP. And these are so big companies that they won't even survive on one IP. They will have for one website or one application, they will have 10 or 20 IPs. Right? So like, imagine how many IPs they are consuming. Google.com, for that matter, any website which is there, even if it is small, like my UT-Kloud or okay, BizConnect. Right? Even if it is small, I am using a public IP. Where I want anyone to connect to my website over the internet, it has to be a public IP, right? Over the internet, it has to be a public IP. Is that point clear, guys? Internet is a network. Understand one thing. Internet is one network. It could be different for you here. I mean, from with your naked eyes, you can see कि यार मेरा एयरटेल का है उसका जियो का है whatever internet www world wide web internet it's one network. Is this point clear to everyone? Be it anywhere, any corner of the world, anything, internet is one network. You are on the internet, I am on the internet, we can communicate with each other. Then we have private segments. Why do we have private? Now, let's say there's a company, IBM, again taking name as an example, just IBM. It has lakhs of employees. They have their laptop, right? They have their machines, they have their printers, etc. Now, if they keep assigning the IP address, public IP address to each one of them, first thing, it's a security breach. What did I tell you? Internet can talk anywhere. If you are on internet, then anyone can talk to you. So this is your internet network. Internet network. This is your private network. These two cannot communicate with each other at all. There is no way they can talk to each other. By default, I'm talking about. Okay. So what is there in private network? In private network, there is a company called Tsoft. There's a company called UT-Kloud. In this company or in these companies, we have people. They're using their laptop. They also require an IP address, right? IP address is must. If you want to communicate with anything, IP address is must. But they need an IP address to run their computer. Uh, They have servers, they want IP address, so many resources. All of them want IP addresses, right? Without IP address, they're not able to perform anything, they're not able to do anything, they won't be able to communicate with anything. So IP addresses are a must, right? But if they are using individual IP address, each one of them will be out of IP address. Hence, the concept was of a private IP address. Now, how does it work? For example, YouTube has taken 2.2.2.2. So google.com cannot take that. These are very giants. I gave you very basic example of my website also, if UT-Kloud.com. Can someone give me one public IP address, please? Read that chat and give me any classes, any public IP. Obviously not DNE. That is implied. We never discussed DNE. A, B, and C. Any public IP address, guys. Refer to the chart which I have sent in the WhatsApp group, and I'm looking for a public IP. Yes, guys. Anyone? I got one in the chat, but I'm still. I want you to read the IP address. Yes, Aragya, can you give me one public IP address, please?
You can use 130.2.2.1.
130.2.2.1.
2.1. Yep.
Okay. Others, Bashar, can you give me one IP address, please? One public IP address. Let's imagine there's a company called Alphabet, Google's parent company. Okay. They have their one product or multiple product, whatever they are, but they are using multiple IP addresses. So yes, guys. Aragya has given me one public IP address. Bashar, can you hear me? Okay, Vishwajit, you have already given me. Danish, can you give me one public IP address, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Are you looking for it?
Yes.
Okay. Meanwhile, Heather, can you give me one public IP address, please?
Okay. In any class or
Yes, yes, any class. Obviously, it is
okay.
implied, not DNE.
Okay. 128 dot
Hmm.
10 dot 10 128 dot 10 dot 10 dot 1.
Okay. Hanif, can you give me one public IP address, please?
20.20.20
Sorry,
dot 20
sorry, what was the first?
2020.
Okay, 20.20.20.20. Fine. Works. Danish, did you get your public IP address?
Yes,
You
I
have
have
shared
shared
it.
it.
192.16.1.1. Yes, who's next? Hanif Kazi, can you give me one public IP address, please? Hanif, can you hear me? Hussein, Ibtisam, can you give me one public IP address, please?
Yes.
All of you guys can start sending message also. Yes, that also works. I just
So
want to see.
IP.
No, Hanif, I cannot hear you. You can type the IP address. Yes, guys, you can start doing that. Type your IP address. I'm looking for a public IP. Let me, and I'll quickly start typing it here so you don't repeat it. Whose IP is that? It doesn't matter. Just make sure you don't repeat it. Give me a new IP address. And not necessary, I'm typing all of the IP addresses also. So if you don't see your IP address, don't worry. Yes, I'm still getting answers. One 129. Fair enough. It's enough, guys. I think you got the concept, right? At least the purpose here was that you look by looking at the IP, I'm not expecting you to remember it. Not even your interviewer is expecting you to remember it. But you should know the logic. If you have a picture in front of you, you should be able to at least read and understand it, that whether this is public IP or private IP. Right? Because there are so many things are dependent on that. Too many things. So this is very crucial. But I think it's a fair. You guys have fair idea now. These are the public IPs now. Fine. Now, what did I tell you? Public IPs can talk to each other. Now, if there is a server or there is a website which is hosted here on 224, or there's a user, let's say a user sitting here on this IP address, he wants to access youtube.com. Can he do that? A person sitting on 20.20.20 wants to speak to 2.2.2.2. Is it possible by the logic, whatever we have been discussing here?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Why? The internet, it's one network, it's a public network, right? So they are in technically they both of them are in one network. Okay. The point here is for anyone to communicate, they should be in one network, or there should be some sort of connectivity. Remember these two things very carefully. Right? The benchmark for two IPs to communicate with each other is either they should be in one network, or there should be some connectivity between two different networks. So I told you internet, it's itself one network. So do I require anything extra for 20.20.20.2 to talk to 2.2.2.2? Do I need anything extra for that, guys? Do I
No.
need any setup? No, I don't need, right? Yes, he needs a DNS IP for that. No, not required. Forget the DNS. DNS is not for IPs. DNS is to clear your name. If I directly have an IP address, I don't require DNS. DNS is required when IP के आगे मैं नाम लगा देता हूँ and I want to clear that name. DNS is something like your phone book. You have saved, let's say someone's name, you have saved my name, Suhail, and under that there is a number because you can't remember all the numbers. Hence, you save the name. Similarly, DNS works. All these IPs, you will not be able to remember. You don't remember Facebook IP, you don't remember YouTube's IP, you don't remember Google's IP, right? Hence, they have given the name for our uh, utilization or easiness. But ultimately, in background, IP is working. So if you know the IP directly, for example, if you know my phone number directly, you don't have to go to your telephone directory and search for it, or it's not necessary कि मेरा number आपके इसमें save भी होना चाहिए. You can directly go to the dial and type that number and connect a call, and you will be connected because you know the number directly. Number save होना चाहिए. There should be a DNS entry that वो आता है जब आपके पास IP ना हो. Okay, that was to someone who asked a question in the chat group. Okay, so this is clear, I hope, the network part. Now let's come to the private network. How it works in private network, whatever the private range is. Can someone give me one IP address of private range for Tsoft? Any class is fine.
Yeah, 10.1.1.1.
10 dot 1 dot 1 dot 1.
1.1.1. Yeah.
Now look at both the pictures properly and tell me if both scenarios are possible. Yes, no, if no, why, if yes, how. Look at the both segments, the private
No, it's
side
not
also,
possible.
which is not
No.
possible, private or public. We have drawn two diagrams here.
Public is not possible.
And why not?
Because like public IP is like defined for a particular private public. Like if YouTube is using 2.2, then like another no one can use.
Perfect.
But for
Why? Because
private,
they are in
it is
one network.
mm,
They are in one network, right? Be it private to public, if as the moment they are in one network, they cannot use the same IP. What about this scenario? Is it possible in the private network?
yes, it is possible.
Yes, it is possible. I mean, that is the whole point of creating private network. If this wasn't possible, तो सब कुछ public में ही रख देते ना हम, right? ये possible है, इसीलिए private network बनाया गया है. Now imagine there are so many companies, big companies, even this Google and etc. पब्लिक पे तो इनके 50-60 सर्विसेज हो गए, सिर्फ मैप पब्लिक पे होगा, यूट्यूब पब्लिक पे होगा, जीमेल पब्लिक पे होगा. बट इंटरनल जो लाख एम्प्लॉयज है, इंटरनल सर्विसेज है, मे बी लीव एप्लीकेशन का कोई पोर्टल होगा, सैलरी स्लिप का कोई पोर्टल होगा. इफ दे आर नॉट ऑन इंटरनेट, नाउअडेज उनको भी इंटरनेट पे रखते हैं कंपनीज, बट इफ दे आर नॉट ऑन इंटरनेट, देन दे आर यूजिंग प्राइवेट नेटवर्क. सो उसी के तहत कितनी कंपनीज है, गूगल है, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट है, राइट, एम्फोसिस, आईबीएम, टीसीएस, एन नंबर ऑफ कंपनीज. इमेजिन ऑल ऑफ दे आर यूजिंग आईपीज एंड इट कैन नॉट बी रिपीटेड. आईपीज लिटरली खत्म हो जाएंगे. Hence, this is possible. What we can see here at the right side, this is possible. But what is not possible is this. In the same company, one IP on two resources. Is this possible?
No.
No, it is not possible. So is this point clear, guys, to everyone till here? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say this is my VM1. This is my VM2. 10 dot, which what will be the next IP address in Tsoft? If my last IP address to what 10.1.1.1, what will be the next IP address?
255.
Two.
No, the next IP address. 255 तो last हो गया. It can be anything, yes.
2.
Technically, it doesn't have to be two, but you'll always
4
see in
is
companies
fine.
they are following some pattern. They are not ऐसे कोई random नहीं लगा देंगे, otherwise इसमें management बहुत difficult हो जाता है. Technically तो ये भी possible है. They are still in one network, they can communicate with each other. Technically possible है, but you'll always see uh, a decorum in network, because बहुत difficult हो जाता है network को बाद में handle करना. If it is not designed in a proper manner, it becomes very difficult. Okay, so this is how it works. Now VM3 10 dot 1 dot 1 dot 3. Okay, here I have VMA 10 dot 1 dot 1 dot 4. Then this is VMA. Okay, this is VMA. Then I have VMB. VMB we have 10 dot uh, 1 dot 1 dot what do we have? 3. Okay. Now I have some questions. Let's quick answer them quickly. Can VM1 communicate with VM2? And again, guys, I'm talking about the default behavior. If someone knows about some extra steps, we're not discussing them now. Let's not confuse others. Default behavior. I've not done anything. Nothing is there. Can VM1 communicate with VM2?
Yes. Okay.
Can VM2 communicate with VM3?
Yes.
Can VM1 communicate with VM3? Guys, others
Yes. Yes.
also. It's not necessary. I'm not expecting answer from this. Is not one-on-one. Others can also answer. Please do answer. If you, even if it is wrong, please do answer. Can VMB communicate with VMA?
Yes.
Can VMA communicate with VM2?
No.
Why
No.
not?
Because in different network.
Perfect. Just because the class are one, they are in same class, they're using same classes, it doesn't mean that they can communicate with each other, right? Though I said private networks can talk to each other. And still I'm saying B1, VM A cannot talk to VM2. What does it mean? प्राइवेट नेटवर्क आपस में बात कर सकते हैं. टू डिफरेंट प्राइवेट नेटवर्क्स cannot talk to each other. ठीक है, दिस इज अ डिफरेंट प्राइवेट नेटवर्क. दिस इज प्राइवेट नेटवर्क 1. This is private network 2, right? So for private networks can talk to each other within the network, not outside the network. And internet, it's itself, it's only one network, by the way. Internet में कोई 1 2 3 नहीं है. You are on the internet even if you're sitting in Antarctica. Internet मिल गया आपको, and I'm sitting here in Pune. We are in the same network. Now, can VM2 communicate with 2.2.2.2? YouTube वाला IP address जो है, let's talk about that. Can VM2 communicate with 10 youtube.com? I'm just talking about, I'm expecting the answers on the logics which we have discussed now.
No, it cannot communicate.
No.
No, right? Can you guys open your laptop? And first thing, let me open my lap. I hope you guys can read it. Is it readable enough? Do you want me to increase the font size? If yes, let me know. This is the command to check IP address, right? What is my IP address, guys? Can anyone tell me?
192.168.56.1.
What is it? Private, public?
Private.
Private. Can you go ahead and ping your IP address to me? Private IP address, please, all of you. Go ahead, open either command prompt or PowerShell, type ipconfig, whatever IP address you see, just ping it here. Or read it or ping, or just put it in the message. Quickly, guys. I see 192.168.1.11. I see 192.168.1.8, 192.168.0.106, right? We're almost in same range, same class. Does that mean I can talk to you guys now from this PC? If I start pinging, ping is a command which confirms whether I can talk to you or not. See, if I do ping google.com, and if I'm getting replies, which means I have a connectivity with google.com. If I do ping youtube.com, and if I'm getting replies, which means I have connectivity with youtube.com, that they are communicating with each other. I have sent 4 packets, they receive 4 packets, lost 0, which means the connectivity is there. So if I do the same thing, ping with one of your IPs, I think this is Hanif's IP, 192.168.1.34. If I hit enter, will I be able to communicate with Hanif's IP? What do you think, guys? Yes, no, maybe?
No.
See, this is how it looks when it is not communicating. Destination host unreachable. Why? Because we are in different networks. Hanif is sitting in some different network. I am sitting in some different network, right? Though we are using the same range, but we are in different networks. So is this point clear that this cannot communicate with each other? I'm still haven't started my Azure networking, guys. I'm just covering the networking, basic networking. We haven't yet covered. I have not even used a single term of Azure networking. All this I was hoping you guys to read it, but by looking at the responses, I feel you haven't read it, and I told you without it we cannot go ahead. Hence, I'm repeating it. Otherwise, this wasn't supposed to be our courses part, right? So, is this point clear? These networks cannot talk to each other. Any doubts? Any questions, guys? Still here? Yes? No? Maybe? Any doubts?
No.
Okay. Now, whatever we have learned till now by that logic. Can this IP 20.20.20 communicate with 20.192.33.34?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. What was my IP address? Let's say I'm using this range also. 192.168. This is my IP, okay? Let's say that I have a machine here also. Again, my questions, guys, are on whatever I have discussed till now. Based on that, I'm asking questions. This is my VM5, and I'm using this range. Can my VM5 communicate with VM3?
Yes.
Yes, it is in same network. Can VM5 communicate with VMA?
No.
Can
No.
VM5 communicate with youtube.com 2.2.2.2? By the way, I'm not sure, guys, this 2.2.2.2 YouTube का IP है या नहीं. We are just taking numbers for study purposes. Okay? So don't get confused. Not sure वो उसका IP है या नहीं. 8.8.8 Google का है, that is for sure. 2.2.2 किसका है नहीं पता है. We don't even have to get into that. Just understand the concept. So can VM5 communicate with youtube.com 2.2.2.2?
Yes, it can. Okay.
Sorry, it can, you said? I can't see who's
No,
there.
No.
Okay, why there's a confusion, guys? I am looking for answers based on what we have learned till now.
It will not communicate because private IP direct cannot communicate directly to the
Definitely.
public IP. Yeah.
Private IPs cannot communicate with public IPs. So the answer is no, it cannot, right? It cannot communicate with youtube.com. But now I took literally my IP address from here, right? Now this is my IP address. I'm sitting on a private IP, and let's see if I'm able to access youtube.com. See, it is working. Forget YouTube. Where do you think Azure's portal is hosted? Is it on my private network? Azure portal, is it on my private network, guys?
Public.
Public
No.
network, right? I'm still able to communicate with public IP address, right? So let's understand how does that work, right? I'm just clearing the basic, I'm clearing the foundation for you guys. So it becomes easy for you to understand it later. Now, how does it work? If these two networks want to talk to each other, what are the methods do you think we have? Let's say Tsoft, forget public पे आते हैं बाद में. Tsoft and UT-Kloud. There is some necessity, maybe UT-Kloud, it's acquiring Tsoft, right? And they need some sort of communication. मुझको इनके documents देखने हैं, बहुत सारी now if a company is acquiring some other company, there are n number of things. Management में 50 चीजें चलेगी, legal चीजें होगी, right? हमारा staff वहां जाके काम करेगा, उनका staff यहाँ पर आके काम करेगा. There will be so many things that network communication between these two companies, it's a must thing. So what do you think we have? What methods do we have to connect these two companies?
VNet peering.
No, we didn't even talk about the VNet pairing. I told you guys, we haven't started Azure. Don't just
VPN
let's.
use कर सकते हैं. VPN.
Yes. Very basic thing. I mean, let's not get into fancy words. Very basic thing. Cable. ये दो ऑफिस के बीच में केबल चाहिए मुझको. That's it. Imagine this office, and people who are from Pune, maybe you'll understand. Imagine this is on Swargate. This is in camp. It is hardly 5 or 10 kilometers, right? A cable, it's a best idea. Your HDFC Bank in Viman Nagar, it is always connected with HDFC branch in camp. How are they connected? They have cabling done. Now, does it mean HDFC employee will go and dig the road literally? No, that's not going to happen, right? We have telecom ISPs for that, telecom companies for that. These guys will have to just approach them कि यार मुझको यहाँ से यहाँ तक की connectivity चाहिए. What they will do? They will say, fine, we'll do it for you. We'll dig the road, we'll take the permission, and this is how much it will cost you. They'll do the cabling for you. I mean, that is also in exception cases. Normally, they will say, अच्छा यहाँ से यहाँ तक we already have 100 of cables there. We'll simply just give you the connectivity, and this will be your rent, fixed rent from monthly. Right? इस तरह से होता है. But ultimately, what is happening? You have cables within these two office. ये हुआ एक मेथड. बट इमेजिन नाउ वन इज इन पुणे, द अदर वन इज इन कोयम्बतूर, राइट? अगेन हाउ डू यू कनेक्ट दैट? कनेक्टिंग तो होगा केबलिंग पे ही गाइस. इंटरनेट जो है ना, वायरलेस वगैरह ये सब कुछ मिथ होता है. एवरीथिंग विदाउट cables there is nothing. Even if I'm talking to someone, if I'm sharing this and you guys are able to see it, ये केबल के थ्रू ही आ रहा है कि एक छोटा मोटा एरिया वाईफाई मिल जाता है हमको, बट एवरीथिंग इज हैपनिंग ऑन केबल्स. नाउ someone from Pune and their next office is in Coimbatore. Again, cabling is needed. बट इस टाइम कोई आपको डेडिकेटेड केबल नहीं दे रहा है, राइट? कोयम्बतूर से कोई लाइन दिख करके नहीं आएगा पुणे तक आपके लिए. बट what will happen that ISP cablings are there everywhere, राइट? इंडिया तो इंटरनेट तो पूरे इंडिया में है, तो वो सारे केबल्स ऑलरेडी यहाँ यहाँ सब कुछ है. व्हाट दे विल डू, इट्स ओके, आपके ऑफिस से आई विल गिव यू वन डेडिकेटेड लाइन टिल आर ऑफिस. कोयम्बतूर का जो भी आपका पास का ऑफिस होगा, यहाँ कनेक्टिविटी दे देंगे. एंड ओके, पुणे में यहाँ का पास का हमारा केबलिंग यहाँ से जा रहा है, ये कनेक्टिविटी आपको दे देंगे. एंड देन अगेन यू आर कनेक्टेड. बट दिस टाइम दीज आर नॉट डेडिकेटेड लाइंस. तो ये जो लाइंस है, ये केबलिंग किस चीज की है? ये इंटरनेट के केबल्स है आपके. सो यू आर समवेयर यूजिंग इंटरनेट, जिसमें ट्रैफिक थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्रोमाइज होने का चांस होता है. इसलिए यू यूज VPN, वर्चुअल प्राइवेट नेटवर्क. इसमें थोड़ी सिक्योरिटी वगैरह बढ़ जाती है, कुछ भी होता है. मे बी कुछ सिक्योरिटी एस्पेक्ट्स हम लगा देते हैं. बाहर से कोई इंटरसेप्ट नहीं कर सके, इसलिए इनक्रिप्ट कर देते हैं. वॉट एवर यू डू, बट अंडरलाइन जो है वो इंटरनेट ही है. ठीक है, यू नेम इट VPN, कुछ भी कर लो, अंडरलाइन केबल ही है. दिस इज हाउ यू कनेक्ट दीज टू ऑफिसेस, राइट? दिस इज हाउ यू कनेक्ट. नाउ नॉट नेसेसरी कि आपका जो है लिटरली यहां से केबल आएगा. द अनदर मेथड ऑफ दिस, यू पुट अ राउटर हियर. राउटर इज अ डिवाइस गाइस व्हिच हैज टू फेसेस. ये आपका लग गया राउटर, और यहां पर एक लग गया राउटर. ठीक है, जस्ट बिकॉज आपने राउटर लगा लिया, दैट डज नॉट मीन एवरीथिंग इज हैपनिंग. हर हर चीज आपकी जो है वायरलेस हो रही है. राउटर में इंटरनेट कहाँ से आता है? इमेजिन आपके घर का ही राउटर ले लो आप. लेट्स से इतने बड़े एग्जांपल पे नहीं भी जाते, आपके घर का भी राउटर ले लेते. राउटर में केबल, इंटरनेट कहाँ से आता है? इज इट वायरलेस? हैव यू सीन योर
Service
वायरलेस राउटर?
providers.
सॉरी.
केबल।
No, no, service providers.
यस, एक
Cable.
केबल आती है कहीं ना कहीं से, राइट? ISP केबल लाके देता है आपको. इट कैन बी लैन केबल, इट कैन बी फाइबर ऑप्टिक केबल, राइट? वही केबल इनके ऑफिस से कहीं जुड़ी होगी, वो केबल यहाँ से जाएगी, जहां पर भी जाना है जाएगा. बट अल्टीमेटली दीज आर केबल्स. यस, यहाँ पर राउटर ने आपको वायरलेस करके दे दिया कि ठीक है, दिस नेटवर्क आई विल हैंडल वायरलेसली. दिस इज वेरी फाइन. जो वाईफाई होता है यहाँ पर, नाउ यू कैन हैव योर मशीन्स, यू कैन हैव योर मोबाइल फोन, वॉट एवर यू वॉन्ट. नाउ वॉट राउटर डज, यहां से अगर आपने यूट्यूब का, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने youtube.com लिखा, DNS ने क्या कर दिया, उस youtube.com को लिखे हुए को 2.2.2 कर दिया, और मैंने डायरेक्टली 2.2.2 लिख दिया. कहां पर? मेरे ब्राउजर में. दैट इज फाइन. तो दिस रिक्वेस्ट इज नॉट डायरेक्टली गोइंग देयर, दिस रिक्वेस्ट विल गो टू माई राउटर. व्हाट विल माई राउटर डू, कि ठीक है आपको 2.2.2.2 चाहिए, आई विल आस्क हिम टू कम्युनिकेट विथ यू, बट इट विल रिमूव योर IP एंड इट विल यूज इट्स ओन IP. एंड राउटर के पास इस फेस पे कौन सा IP होता है? इज इट पब्लिक IP और प्राइवेट IP? व्हाट डू यू थिंक?
पब्लिक आईपी।
पब्लिक IP. कैन यू गिव मी एनी पब्लिक IP गाइस? क्लास C का कोई पब्लिक IP? Quickly, we have 4 minutes only in this session. I want to finish this.
192.0.0.1।
Fine. So imagine this is your net router's public IP, और यहाँ पर भी एक IP होना चाहिए आपका राउटर का, to communicate with this network, right? ये कौन सा IP होगा? यहाँ पर भी पब्लिक IP होना चाहिए. What do you think? Inside ये भी पब्लिक होना चाहिए?
प्राइवेट।
प्राइवेट. इट हैज टू बी प्राइवेट, तभी तो आपके प्राइवेट नेटवर्क से बात कर पाएगा. नेटवर्क, राउटर हैज टू फेसेस. प्राइवेट से प्राइवेट पे बात कर रहा है, यहाँ पर पूरा प्रोसेस कर रहा है, जिससे ये आपकी रिक्वेस्ट पे आपका IP हटा रहा है, हेडिंग में खुद का IP लगा रहा है, राइट? इट इज पुटिंग इट्स ओन IP नाउ. अब यूट्यूब को कौन रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा है? VM5 192.168.556.1 रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा है, या ये राउटर रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा है? हु इज
Router.
रिक्वेस्टिंग?
राउटर
router. Now can they communicate? The moment it is in public, what did I
Yes.
tell you? Internet is one network. ये जैसे ही इंटरनेट पे आ गया, now they are in one network. This process called natting. इसको बहुत पढ़ने वाले हैं हम लोग और क्वेश्चंस में भी आता है. NAT, NAT, नेटवर्क एड्रेस ट्रांसलेशन. तो अभी जो आप फोन पे भी, इफ यू गो हेड एंड चेक योर फोन, उस पर आपको प्राइवेट आईपी दिखेगा. कौन सी रेंज का? जिसका आपका लैपटॉप है उसी रेंज का आईपी दिखेगा आपको वहां पर. बट स्टिल यू आर एबल टू कम्युनिकेट विथ youtube.com फ्रॉम योर फोन, facebook.com, राइट? वाई? इट्स सेम थिंग हैपनिंग. वहां पर भी ये हेडर लगाता है. ये तो हुआ प्राइवेट टू पब्लिक कम्युनिकेशन. अब मुझको प्राइवेट टू प्राइवेट करना है दो, इसमें दो डिफरेंट कंपनीज में सेम थिंग. यहां से आपने रिक्वेस्ट की, इंस्टेड ऑफ गूगल VM5 से अब मैंने रिक्वेस्ट की VM1. सॉरी, VM5 से VM1 तो डायरेक्ट है. VM5 से मैंने रिक्वेस्ट किया VMA. VMA मेरे नेटवर्क में तो नहीं है ना, राइट? सो इट विल गो हियर, इट विल से ओके यू वांट टू कम्युनिकेट विद VMA. ये आपका एड्रेस हटाएगा, अपना एड्रेस लगाएगा. दिस राउटर विल सेंड अ रिक्वेस्ट टू योर ISP. यहां से सब होते हुए आएगा, अल्टीमेटली इसके राउटर पे आएगा. व्हाई राउटर्स आर एबल टू कम्युनिकेट विद ईच अदर गाइस? Why routers are able to communicate with each other?
They are public IP.
Yes, they are on internet and internet is one network, right? ये दोनों इंटरनेट पे है और इंटरनेट एक नेटवर्क है अपने आप में. सो दे आर एबल टू कम्युनिकेट विद ईच अदर. नाउ राउटर विल सी, उस पैकेट में काफी डिटेल्स होती है. राउटर विल सी कि इसने रिक्वेस्ट की है किसके लिए? मेरे इंटरनल VMA के लिए. तो फिर वो हेडर वेडर चेंज करके यहाँ पर भेजेगा, ओके दिस वाज कनेक्शन वाज रिक्वेस्टेड. देन ये रिप्लाई करेगा, फिर यहाँ से जाएगा, यहाँ पर नेटवर्क हेडर वगैरह चेंज होगा, ये यहाँ से कम्युनिक ट्रैवल करेगा, यहाँ पर आएगा. एंड राउटर हैज दैट एबिलिटी टू नो कि रिक्वेस्ट किसने भेजी थी. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि VM5 ने भेजी हुई रिक्वेस्ट का रिप्लाई VM1 को चला जाएगा. राउटर इज वेरी इंटेलिजेंट डिवाइस. इट इज अ लेयर 3 इंटेलिजेंट डिवाइस. उसका टेक्निकल नाम ही है इंटेलिजेंट डिवाइस. इट्स नॉट लाइक हब. राउटर इज वेरी इंटेलिजेंट डिवाइस. सो राउटर विल सेंड द रिक्वेस्ट बैक के जहां से वो आया था. दिस इज हाउ द कम्युनिकेशन विल वर्क. इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर टू एवरीवन? यस, नो, मे बी?
Yes.
Yes.
इफ ये दोनों ऑफिस बहुत पास में होते हैं, लेट्स से कि मेरा एक ऑफिस है 3rd फ्लोर पे और ये था 4th फ्लोर पे और मैंने इसी को एक्वायर कर लिया है, राइट? देन आई डोंट इवन रिक्वायर इंटरनेट. मैं सिर्फ एक केबलिंग डाल दूंगा, खुद से ही केबल कर दूंगा एंड देन आई कम्युनिकेट. Cable has to be there. Either you put it or someone else will put it. Now you guys, I'm sharing something on Zoom, right? I'm sitting in private network. कैसे जा रहा है वो? Zoom से मेरा ये सब कुछ जा रहा है यहाँ पर. It's on my network, my router. यहाँ से communicate हो रहा है because you are sitting, you are also connected to internet. ये आपके router पे जा रहा है and then it is being displayed to you. This is how it works. Okay, guys, we have less than 30 seconds left in this video, in this session. I'll stop the session. We'll take a break of 5 minutes. 12:25 will resume. And now we'll start Azure networking. Okay, this is the basics of networking I wanted to cover. We'll start Azure networking now. Got it? Let's resume in 5 minutes.